daughter, on you my favor rests. It's interesting. 400 years. The other place in the Bible that 400 years of silence was broken was when Samuel heard the word of the Lord. It's powerful. There was something broken, right? 400 years of silence was broken, and Zechariah's mouth was open. Silence was broken on him when he believed. And he said, yeah, you know what we're going to do? We're going to call him John the Baptist. What? All of his brothers and all of his family, they all said, what? There's no John the Baptist in our family? That's what Elizabeth wants to call him. That's what we're calling him. Isn't that awesome? That's what Elizabeth wants to call him. You understand how unbelievably huge that was in that culture at that time? That's what my wife wants to call him. This wasn't the 90s. That was huge. We're calling him John the Baptist. Not to mention, that's a crazy name. We all think it's cool now, I guess. It's not that cool. But, I mean, it's like we think that because we hear it. But then, I mean, John the Baptist, I just think it's cool. And the moment he believed this child was from God, God said, I'm opening your mouth now. You can talk. Boy, that puts us in our place as the husbands. As long as you keep... What if he did that today? I kind of wish he'd do that for me today. Because, you know, your mouth gets you in a lot of trouble saying all this dumb stuff. It's just... I'm just going to open your mouth whenever you decide you want to speak something that's truthful, and I'm just going to shut it down. Whenever you know what I mean? It'd be so helpful. Especially with our wives, huh? Husbands? It'd be so sweet. Not that their mouths should be shut. I'm talking about our mouths being shut. You get the point. See, I almost just did it right there. Anyway, isn't it amazing? So silence was broken. But I always think, when I wrote that, I was thinking about that day, the first call in Washington, D.C., when I saw fathers and sons all over the place, weeping, crying. That was my favorite part of the whole day. Something holy was happening. It was like fathers and sons weeping and crying. It was like there was, even though there was like this rain that came in, this cloud cover, it was like words of acceptance split the sky. Visions of heaven filled our eyes, and we were born. Born of spirit, born of water. And being born of spirit and being born of water it's like a lot easier to kind of get that concept than it is being born of blood. Born of blood. You know, I've always seen Philippians 2, even what was read tonight. I've always seen Philippians 2 and 3 as awesome. I even knew that part of that was a song that they used to sing. I always thought it was powerful, but I never understood the idea of the joy of the cross. What's the power of the cross? What's the joy of the cross? I mean, I understand like the resurrection part, you know what I mean? And then finally I'm going to... But that's not what Paul calls the joy. He says, well, that's exactly where I'm going, and that's what's going to happen. But it's this joy of the cross. That there's this joy in the actual experience and in the value of the cross in our lives. And as I was writing this song, I was trying to get excited about that. You know what I mean? But I needed God to help me understand the cross. Help me understand the cross, God, as a joy. So I was playing with my son one day on the beach in Florida, visiting his grandparents. They have a place down there, and we go and visit, and they have a big playground on the beach. And it's in the shape of a ship. And the ship has a mast. And Samuel and I are rolling on the sand. And while we're rolling on the sand, playing and wrestling in the beach, I got so tired I just rolled over, and I look up and I see that mast of that playground ship. And it's in the shape of a cross. And I heard the Spirit say, that's the other place I was carried between earth and sky. And all of a sudden it just dawns on me, whoa! You see, Jason, the cross, it isn't a dying place. It's a place to be born. It's a birthing place. It's in giving that we receive. It's in pardoning that we are pardoned. It's in dying that we are born. Is it possible that we abort wisdom? Is it possible that we abort revelation? Is it possible that at the very cross that's in our lives it's like a child that we carry that wants to be born? Like wants to be born. It wants to be born. It wants to be born in us. It's like longing to be born. I think like most crosses that we carry are probably only about 9 months anyway. I mean, there's a lot of them that are lifetime crosses, but a lot of crosses that come are just a little time, you know? It's almost like God gives us the right to abort them if we want to. It's like Jesus is saying, you know, wisdom is fighting for her life. See, I mean, John... I was the song that danced and you were the song that healed. Don't listen to them. Don't think for a moment that you could have done anything different to please man and satisfy man. They want to kill both of us. But they can't, John. Like I said yesterday, the kingdom of heaven is coming with power, and as it comes with power, violent men attack it. Well, not just the violent people out there. It's like I remember my wife and I, we were about ready to finish grad school. And we had kind of made a plan together as a couple. We'd made this plan together that we were gonna, it was a smart plan. Our parents agreed with the plan. Everybody that we knew agreed with the plan. They all thought it was a wise plan, and it probably was a wise plan. We had this plan that we were going to not have babies until after we got out of seminary. Sounds reasonable, right? And so, we got to the end of seminary, and we said, hey, let's start trying to have kids. And then my wife found out that she had this disease that prohibited her from having kids. She came back from the doctor, I remember the first day, crying, and we cried together, and we realized we're probably never going to be able to have kids. And I was so frustrated, and I went into my worship room, and I sat before the Lord, and I said, God, I gave you my whole life. I never had sex before I was married. I never did drugs. I gave him my whole list. You know what I mean? And now I can't even have kids. What's going on? And I heard this whisper.